Okay, so you should have read the book on this section dealing with free fall acceleration. The biggest takeaway that you need to know is when you are in free fall, acceleration due to gravity, sometimes we just write it the letter A, sometimes they put a little g down here, okay? It's always going to be a negative 9.81, we use this digit, okay? Meters per second square. We will always use this value if it's in free fall. How can you spot when an object is in free fall? Well, if we take a look at your packet, okay, so the packet of problems, all right, this right here, section 26 through 30, it's going to tell you right here that we're using this. But if I did not write this, how would you know you're in free fall? You're going to know you're in free fall when, as soon as you let go of the object, nothing else is acting on it except gravity, okay, trying to pull it towards Earth. So look for keywords like it's dropped, it's thrown straight up, it's thrown down, okay, straight up again, and then something like even being launched, okay? These are all going to be words telling us that that object was released and nothing else is acting on it except acceleration due to gravity. Now, acceleration due to gravity is always going to be negative because here on Earth, as soon as you let something go, the mass of that object is attracted towards Earth, so it always goes down. So you have to make sure you're using that negative sign there or you will get the questions wrong every time. Something else that you want to watch out for when you are doing these problems is key things. So for example, let's take a look at number 26. It says, what is the velocity of a dropped object after it has fallen for 3 seconds? Okay, so if we have an object that is dropped, okay, so it's going down, it's fallen for 3 seconds, it's asking me what is the velocity here. So what that means is I am looking for the final velocity after 3 seconds. Okay, well, what the heck was the initial velocity then? It was dropped. So if you're holding something and then you just let it go, that means that the initial velocity was 0. As soon as you see a question like this, they're not going to tell you it's in free fall. You're going to have to say, oh, nothing else is acting on this except acceleration due to gravity, so I know to go ahead and put that in the question as well. As soon as you have those variables, you're like, okay, what equation do I use? Right now we don't have very many, so the choices are pretty straightforward. Check your units, and then put everybody where they belong in the question, okay? Helps if I make that an equal sign. All right. Remember that the shortcut is that if you've got a number down here, what are we doing? That is correct. Let's multiply. And remember, you can pause me at any time to make sure that you're doing okay. All right? So it's going to be this. If you want to add 0 to both sides, you can. And I just found final velocity, so my units are meters per second. And then let's just take a look at this. Does this make sense that it's going to be a negative value for the final velocity? And the answer to that is going to be yes, because it is falling down, okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at something like number 27, okay? On 27, okay, it says that we have a ball that is being thrown straight up, okay? So this time if we're throwing a ball straight up, in order for it to go into the air, you are throwing it with an initial velocity, okay? So this time we want to know what the velocity is after 2 seconds of it being released. I think drawing a quick little picture helps me with my signs. So this time I'm throwing it straight up. That means my initial velocity down here in the picture, okay, is going to be a plus 16 because I'm going up. I want to know what the velocity is up here. Oops, sorry, that's a question mark. I want to know what the velocity is up here after it has been traveling for 2 seconds. Okay? Again, nothing else is touching this, So I need to make sure I know that acceleration is a negative 9.81. Go grab your equation, check your units, and then put everybody where they belong, okay? Just remember on these problems, if something's negative, leave it negative. Again, shortcut, if you got a number down here, you are going to multiply, okay? And remember, you can pause me at any time. All right. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm going to add 16 to both sides. And let's see if this final velocity makes sense, okay? So I am going to check, I'm in meters per second. Does it make sense that the final velocity is going to be a negative value? Okay. After 2 seconds, what that's telling me is that I must not have thrown it hard enough and it's coming back towards me. Okay. So that's what that is saying. So after 2 seconds, I probably didn't throw it hard enough and it's already coming back towards me. All right, let's take a look at number 28, and I think after this one you should be good to go to complete them. All right, so on number 28, this time around what I'm doing is I am throwing a stone off of a bridge, okay? Now they're being nice enough to let me know that I'm throwing it down. So we're throwing a stone down off of a bridge with a velocity of this, okay? Now, when you get ready to write this on your paper, you got to remember that velocity is a vector. So if I'm throwing it down, the sign on this is negative. We want to know what the velocity is after 3 seconds. Okay, so on this one, what we have is we've got a stone and I am throwing it down, okay? So in the beginning, I do have an initial velocity. I'm going downward, so we want to make sure we're putting that in as a negative symbol, okay? And we want to know the velocity down here after it has traveled for 3 seconds. Again, nothing else is acting on it, okay? So we know acceleration due to gravity. Go grab your equation. Make sure your units match, and then put everybody where they belong. Keep track of your signs. Do you see I'm going to be subtracting a negative? Okay, so keep track of your signs. Now, not all of these always have a number down here, so do you remember what to do if there's a letter? If there's a letter down here, you take the letter and this value and you just flip them, okay? But right now, we keep multiplying. Okay, we are subtracting a negative, so in math class, remember that what that means is that we were adding, okay? So this time around, what's going to happen is that means I am going to subtract this from both sides, okay? And I'm going to come up with an even bigger negative value as my final velocity. We're in meters per second. And I'm just going to ask myself, does that make sense? If you throw something off of a bridge, does it make sense that it should be going down at an even faster rate after 3 seconds? Yes, that makes sense. Hope this helps. Go ahead and finish the rest of the problems.